one of the most important and easiest way for tier 4 student that they can settle in the UK if they can switch from UK student visa to work permit, which is skilled worker visa. So even if you fail to study in the UK, or if you not afford, or if you can't study in the UK, which I suggest to study, but if you want to switch and if you want to settle in the UK, you can get the work permit from any suitable employer. And currently there are lots of job category which is added to shortage occupation list, and you can switch to skilled worker visa, and after 5 years of the skilled worker visa you can get settlement in the UK. At the same time, you can bring your dependent family member from back home. I'll speak about what are the requirements and how you can do that. How can you switch from UK student visa to skilled work visa. Yes, my name is Suhail Ahmed. I'm a solicitor. So today I'll give you some tips how to switch from UK student visa to skilled worker visa. So currently there is lots of vacancy in the UK. If you say restaurant sector, care sector, NHS, private jobs, lots of companies struggling to recruit permanent people on a suitable job. And to fill up this gap, government has taken a drastic step to fill up this vacancy, and they introduce easiest immigration route for skilled worker visa, especially for students. And I would say that student has a golden opportunity to switch in country skilled worker visa. So you don't need to go back to your home country, you can switch within the UK. Just what you need to do is you need to find a work permit or a sponsor. Now many student who has already who's already enrolled in full-time education, now you have permission to work 20 hours with any employer in the UK. Probably you are working, or if you even don't work but you do have a permission to work, you can ask your employer. If you work under any employer, you can ask your employer to whether they are interested to give you a work permit. Show your skill, convince him, and many employers are now willing to recruit employee permanently, and they know if they recruit a student by your sponsorship, you will not left them at least 5 years. And for the security of employee, they are willing to give the sponsor. Now sponsor what the employer need to, you need to convince him. Employer doesn't need to invest money on you. What he, even if he pay you the salary, which is only £25,600, you can easily he can easily employ you. And in terms of the what he needs just sponsorship from the UK. The employer needs sponsorship, and it's cost only £546 the sponsorship fee, and you can get work permit sponsorship from him. So what you need to do, if you need to explain to many employers in the UK, when they don't bother, when they don't know about all this sponsorship. So if you can explain to him, and then that if he get a license from the Home Office, then he can employ you, and it will not cost him much. And if you need any help, including the sponsorship application, as well as your skilled worker application, many lawyers around the UK are happy to help. If you need any help from us, feel free to contact with us. Now in terms of skilled worker visa, which is a point-based system, you need only 70 points to get this work permit, and 70 points basically come from different sources. Mainly if your employer offer you a job, which is, for example, if you work in a restaurant as a manager, or if you work in a shops as a shopkeeper, if you work in any other skill level job, this job is still eligible to get sponsorship from Home Office under shortage occupation list, as well as skilled worker visa. So what you have to obtain from from your employer is a sponsorship, and if your employer provide a sponsorship, you will get automatically 50 point, but you need only 70 point. Now, a job offer from a approved sponsor will get a sponsorship. The job, of course, has to be a skill level job. In the Home Office, there is a list of skill level job, that is including a manager of a restaurant, a shopkeeper, and a very wide range of job available for skilled worker visa. So in any case, many of the students are eligible for this job, and if your employer offer you a sponsorship, that will confirm a 50 point, because you are in student visa, you have already satisfied the English language requirement. But in case if not, then you can just sit an exam and you can get a certificate for B1, which will confirm another 10 points. So that means you buy the sponsorship, you'll automatically get 50 point. So you need only 20 point, and that 20 point will come from the salary, because if your employer pay you a salary of 25,600 pound, that will confirm for another 20 points. Once you satisfy the 70 point, you will get visa for either 3 years or 5 years. But what you need to do when you get a sponsorship from an employer, you need to convince him to give you sponsorship for 5 years. Then by one extension, you will reach to settlement, means ILR. Now, what are the advantages of this route? That there are lots of advantages. One of the most important advantages is that skill level route will lead to a settlement. Unlike in innovative visa, which is replacement of entrepreneur visa, or startup visa, that doesn't lead directly to the ILR, but skilled worker visa directly lead to ILR. You can also bring your dependent family member, and your dependent family member also will able to work for full time. So these are the advantages. So if you can convince to get a work permit for 5 years, that's brilliant. Now, one of the important problem we are facing in our community is many people are getting work permit by way of some under table transaction. That is wrong, because if you get a work permit not from the employer doesn't have a genuine vacancy, in that case the Home Office may in future suspend their license or even suspend permanently. In that case, you will be an overstayer, and then you probably Home Office will give you a 60 days time, and then within the 60 days you need to get another sponsor. Maybe you need to pay another £20,000. Now remember, only some employee who are doing this illegal activities, some people who are doing illegal activities. Now these people are greedy people. When he have vacancy for 5 employee, he will sell 5, he will take money from 5 person, and then because he's a greedy person, that's why he's taking money from you. So he will try to get as much as he can. He doesn't bother whether he can keep the license or not. And one day, because of his greediness, Home Office will suspend his license. And that happened in past. Many people came in work permit, and they ended with an overstay. So that is going to be happen very soon. So rather than to go that under the table, I will advise my brother and sister student who came in the UK for higher education, please find a genuine employer. So that's what the more important things I think for you. Thank you very much again. So my advice is, if you're a student, try to find a genuine employer. Don't go to any any wrong way. You have a very bright future. If you don't find a genuine employer, if you don't find a sponsorship I will advise you carry on your study because you have very good future in the UK. If you can currently what the opportunity gave the UK Home Office, this is very fantastic. I would say that was not in the last 12 years. It was in past to 2020 that route was closed post-study work permit, and now the government introduced post-study work permit just because of the UK was out of the EU. There are a lot of vacancies in the UK. UK factory industry need people to work. European worker many European worker has left, and there no one coming from the Europe to work in the UK. So if that industry cannot recruit people, that industry will switch to in somewhere in the Eastern Europe. So that company will pay the tax, create the job in Eastern Europe. So to keep this business run, the government given an opportunity for student to get complete your study and then get work. You'll get work automatically 2 years work permit. And if you get 2 years work permit, by this time you will be able to manage your employer to give you a sponsorship. So if you can continue your study, you will have a very bright future in the UK. Some of the students are claiming asylum in the UK. Now every day I got a couple of calls from either guardian, relatives or student directly to seek an asylum. I'm advising the student that this is the wrong, and I'm not gonna advise you to seek an asylum, because most of the asylum what you are seeking, in my judgment, after 1 year or 6 months or after substantial interview, Home Office will refuse your asylum application, your asylum claim, and you will be an overstay, and you are destroying your future, and you are destroying the genuine asylum seeker of Bangladesh or Pakistan, where they're coming from. So my advice, dear students, please don't seek asylum. Rather than carry on study, get loan from back home. Family, relatives, get something from them. It's 10,000-15,000 pounds per year. So some of the students even pay the whole tuition fee, but still they're looking for an asylum. Easy way to get something in the UK. But if you look for easiest way, that will destroy your bright future. So rather than seek asylum, carry on your study, do hard work. If you have a wish, you will find a way. Now, work permit in terms of skilled worker visa, which is very important route for a student. Students are skilled, they are smart, and they can speak English. So my advice, search internet, find a suitable employer. There are lots of jobs, lots of employer. You are not looking for a good employer. You are not looking for a genuine employer. Rather than you find a way to pay 10,000, 12,000 pounds, buy a work permit, care worker, work sponsorship, and get work. Brother and sister, this job, this employer will one day close his shop and office will run away. You will not find him. He will make once he make 100, 200,000 pounds, he'll run away. You will not find him. And what the consequence? You will be an overstay. So my advice will be, search for a genuine work permit, search for a genuine employer who will offer you sponsorship. If you work for example, a restaurant, show your skill and convince him to sponsor you. If he doesn't have sponsorship, ask him that a solicitor or someone can help him to get a sponsorship, and it will not cost him much. And we are happy to offer you both service. If your employer want to apply for sponsorship, we can help. We can apply for sponsorship application for him. At the same time, we can apply once he get the sponsor license, we can issue a CAS for you, and then we can make an application for skilled worker visa to switch from eco student visa to skilled worker visa. That package we can offer you. But what you need to do, you need to find a genuine employer. You need to convince your employer to sponsor you. So that is a short video and short advice for tier 4 student. A lot of students coming in the UK, but I have noticed that many students are going to wrong path. Rather than study, they are seeking for asylum, they are seeking for FLRFP human rights application, and that is, you are destroying your future. So I will advise you, this is my opinion. It's not a legal advice. It's a generic advice. So if you are in the UK, if you can't carry on your study, speak to a qualified, reputed lawyer in the UK. There are many solicitors in the UK. You will get different opinion, different advice. When speak 2-3 solicitor, there are many solicitors come to in TB, and they advise, speak with them, spend £100 or £60 consultation fee, and get the right advice, because this is your future. You can spend £15,000 to come to the UK to pay the tuition fee, and you are coming, you can leave the study, leaving the university. Why you can't spend £80 to get a consultation from a lawyer? And I would say those who are advising you to seek asylum on basis of not genuine grounds under the convention, refugee convention, that is you are getting wrong advice. So my advice will be, student, to find an employer and switch to skilled worker visa, get the 5-year skilled worker visa, and then you'll get the settlement after 5 years. In the meantime, you can bring your family member and your children, your wife or husband, and then make your life in the UK if you want to settle in the UK. This is the shortest and quickest and the best way for a student to settle in the UK. This is all about for today. I hope that information will help. Please feel free to share this video for a student community. Thank you.